Republicans and Trump being the most pro-Israel president that the United States has ever seen. The RNC is happening right now, their national convention. So you got a lot of Republicans that are in Milwaukee right now, doing Republican things at the national convention, at the Republican National Convention. One thing to note, by the way, missing from this RNC is people like George Bush, Liz Cheney, Paul Ryan is not there. A lot of the real old school, real old school establishment Republicans are missing from the RNC as of right now. But let's go ahead and play this. This is Matt Brooks. Matt Brooks is he's the head of the Republican Jewish Coalition, I believe is what it's called. So he takes the stage, and this is what we see happening at the RNC. Watch this.
Executive Officer of the Republican Jewish Coalition, Mr. Matt Brooks.
Hello, Milwaukee! Let me hear you cheer if you support Israel. Let me hear you cheer if you support Israel. Now, if someone tried that at the Democrats' convention, they'd be booed off the stage. But here, at the Republican convention, we proudly and loudly stand with Israel. This election is a critical moment for the American Jewish community and for Israel. This is our chance to continue the incredible pro-Israel legacy of the most pro-Israel president in history, Donald J. Trump. President Trump, among his many accomplishments, many of which they said couldn't be done, but he did it. He moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. They said it couldn't be done, but he weakened the Iranian regime. They said it couldn't be done, but he delivered the historic Abraham Accords, bringing us closer to peace in the Middle East. With President Trump, we will repair and rebuild the U.S.-Israel relationship that has deteriorated after 4 disastrous years under President Biden. Now, today, 9 months after the historic Hamas attacks, shockingly, President Biden is still withholding critical arms that Israel needs to defend itself. Boo. America must stand with Israel and against the terrorists, especially Iran. We must stand with the Israeli people. Now, my message here today to the Jewish community is clear. There is only one pro-Israel party, and it's the Republican Party. And here at home, under Donald Trump, we will put a stop to the rising tide of anti-Semitism. President Trump will bring back law and order so that American Jews can once again wear a kippah and walk the streets without fear. President Trump will stop the mobs on the college campuses so Jewish students feel safe when they go to class. The Jewish community is ready to help elect Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. The Jewish vote continues to increase for Republicans year after year, and I promise you 2024 will be no different. So let me ask all of you, who will best stand up to the Hamas sympathizers and the squad? Donald Trump! Who will best stand with Israel? Donald Trump! Who will make sure Jews feel safe and secure? Thank you, RNC, for the opportunity to speak today, and thank you, President Trump, for your commitment to elevating Jewish American voices. Together, unified, we will win. Am Yisrael Chai!
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's play a little game, shall we? Let's replace every time we heard Israel with China. And let's replace Jews with Chinese and just see how we feel about our country, especially at the Republican National Convention. This is a major U.S. political party chanting and cheering for massive support to a foreign Middle Eastern country. Let me hear you cheer if you support China. Let me hear you cheer if you support China. Now, if someone tried that at the Democratic convention, they'd be booed off the stage. But here at the Republican convention, we proudly and loudly stand with China. This election is a critical moment for the American Chinese community and for China. This is our chance to continue the incredible pro-China legacy of the most pro-China president in history, Donald J. Trump. With President Trump, we will repair and rebuild the U.S.-China relationship that has deteriorated after 4 disastrous years under President Biden. Shockingly, President Biden is still withholding critical arms that China needs to defend itself. Boo! America must stand with China and against the terrorists, especially Iran. We must stand with the Chinese people. Now, my message here today to the Chinese community is clear. There is only one pro-China party, and that is the Republican Party. And here at home under Donald Trump, we will put a stop to the rising tide of xenophobia. President Trump will bring back law and order so that American Chinese can once again wear their Buddhist, their gold Buddhas and walk the streets without fear instead of the yarmulke or so President Trump will stop the mobs on the college campuses so Chinese students feel safe when they go to class. The Chinese community is ready to help elect Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. The Chinese vote continues to increase for Republicans year after year, and I promise you, 2024 will be no different. Who will best stand with China? Donald Trump. Who will make sure Chinese feel safe and secure? Thank you, RNC, for the opportunity to speak today. And thank you, President Trump, for your commitment to elevating Chinese American voices. Together, unified, we will win. Or just replace that. Now, maybe you might think, well, but there's a difference between China and Israel because China's not our ally, but Israel is. Okay, let's replace it with, England. Let me hear you cheer if you support England. Let me hear you cheer if you support England. I mean, this is really, it's atrocious when the Democrats do this same thing for Ukraine, because they do, right? They hold up the Ukrainian flag. They drape themselves in it. They might as well just come out and say, we do not prioritize Americans and Americans' lives and Americans, what's happening here at home. We don't prioritize any of that. We're instead advocating for a foreign country. Now, it's one thing to love and support and advocate for those who ethnically hail from a particular country. For example, Chinese Americans, right? So if it was just about, look, Donald Trump is for Chinese Americans. Let me give you an example. This weekend, I was speaking at a Viet MAGA event in West Palm Beach, Florida, right near Mar-a-Lago. And these are Vietnamese Americans who fled Vietnam. They're here in the United States, and they were very much waving the former South Vietnamese flag. They were waving it around. They had American flag in one hand, and they had a South Vietnamese flag in the other, and they're waving it around. Okay? But never once did I ever hear anyone in that group, all Republicans, all supporting Donald Trump, none of them ever said, we want Trump to support Vietnam. We want America to go back to Vietnam and make Vietnam great again. We want American support on taking back Vietnam for us. And that is our country. That is where we belong. Vietnamese only have one country in this whole world, and it's Vietnam. It's the only place Vietnamese people can feel safe. And so we've got to get Americans, if you support us, help us take back our country from these evil people who have taken it from us, the communists who have taken it over. and let's rebuild Vietnam together. Give us the weapons we need to take back our country. That was never said, ever, at this event. They were all proud to be Americans in America. They waved their South Vietnamese flag just to show heritage. It was just for, just to represent that they were Vietnamese Americans from Vietnam, very much supporting Donald Trump, very, very MAGA, very proud to be Americans. Not once out of anyone's mouth at that event did anybody say, help Vietnam, give money and weapons to Vietnam, do more for Vietnam. No, these Vietnamese have come here to the United States and they're wanting to stay in the United States. They're not wanting to go back to the only country in the world for Vietnamese people. They don't want to do that. They want to be here. They're Americans through and through. They have values of freedom. That is why they're here. They're wanting to build America. They're supporting Donald Trump because they love Trump and they love America, and they're wanting America to continue being a free country. And they're worried about the increase in security state tyranny, or, you know, all the things that they feel like the Democrats represent. That's all that that's what they said. So there is a huge difference between advocating for America and showing your ethnic pride and saying we're ethnically from this place, yet here we are standing for Donald Trump. That's the significance of the Vietnamese community, or there's plenty of other different community, the Cuban community, right? They rally together and they're not saying, go and fight, take back our country. Or if they are, people ignore them, right? Because we're like, you're in America now, you're an American. You need to be America first. Stop asking us for weapons for your country, which one's your country? Is it here or is it there? Which is it? So you want us to send weapons to your country to build a nation for you? Why don't we build a nation for us? We need to be building this nation. Drive around in any major city. You're going to see homelessness and crime and litter everywhere, and places stink. We've got middle class that can't take vacations. You know, two parents that would like to have a stay-at-home mom that can't, because they got to get the mom to work because they can barely afford their rent. They can't even own a home. And we got a lot of problems here in this country. And yet at the RNC, they got a big rally and let's hear you cheer for Israel, not for Jews. It'd be one thing if he says, cheer for Jews, American Jews. Let's give our support and love to American Jews. Let's make sure American Jews feel safe in this country, that this country will never become Germany. We will never become Nazi Germany. Give your love and support to American Jews. Embrace American Jews. They are loved. They are welcomed here. They are as American as anybody. That's not what we heard. That's what we should have heard. That's not what we heard. What did we hear? Give your support to Israel. I mean, just unbelievable. Luckily, people are starting to wake up to that. They're starting to say, you know, this is kind of, if I just replaced Israel with any other country, does it make sense? Make it make sense. Is this about Jews who are here in America, and we want to make sure that they understand that they're never, ever going to be treated the way that Germany treated them or any other Christian nation? They've been more persecuted by Christians than any other group of the Muslims have done nothing to Jews in comparison to Christians. But so we should assert and constantly remind ourselves and each other that we would never allow anyone to persecute any group in this country that is different than the majority, than the Christian majority. But that's not what's being said, guys. What they're talking about is support another country, wave the flag of another country, not just because you're proud showing your ethnic heritage from that country, that you're proud that you immigrated to this country from that country. No, they're waving another flag because they want us to give all of our money and support to that other country. Screw you and your middle class struggling life with massive inflation and homelessness everywhere. And sorry you can't take a vacation with your family. And sorry you have to stick your kids in some weird daycare where they're going to be, you know, they're not going to be raised the way you want them to be raised, or they might even be harmed. Sorry about all of that. You know, we got to give all of our money to Israel and Ukraine. If you're a Democrat, you're waving the Ukrainian flag. You're doing the same crap. At least with the Ukrainians, you know, the Democrats in Ukraine, we don't have a lot of American Ukrainians who are coming forward and saying, you must support Ukraine or you're going to be censored, silenced, banned. We're going to ensure you're never employed. we're going to ensure that your life is ruined, right? We don't see a lot of wealthy American Ukrainians who are trying to ruin American lives, but we do see that amongst the very wealthy billionaire class of Jewish Americans, unfortunately, who do seem to have an Israel first policy and basically say, if you criticize Israel, you're going to be censored and booted and your life is going to be ruined. The RNC, and what we're seeing here in this country is that people in this country, these Republicans at this RNC, are actually more Israel first than even Israelis themselves. Look at this. This is from the Cradle. There was a new study that came out. This is from the Jewish People Policy Institute, did a study, and that was published by the Cradle. And they found that a large number of Israelis say that they would leave Israel if it was practical, if they could leave Israel. It's really difficult to pack up all your stuff, give up your life, give up your home, give up your job and all of that and move to another country, even if you have dual citizenship, which many Israelis do. But even if you have that dual citizenship, if you haven't been building a life somewhere else, I mean, it's very difficult to do. But if they could, whether they lack the ability because they don't have the citizenship or they lack the financial means to be able to do it, many, however, say they would leave Israel if they could. Here was the question. If I had a practical possibility to immigrate, I would. They showed the difference between March and July, and it's a pretty big difference between then and now. In March, Jews in Israel, 58% completely disagreed. What's interesting about that is it's only 58% disagreed and said, I'm not leaving. But now it's 55% who say, I'm not leaving. But what's going on with that other 45%? Well, they kind of agree. They're like, yeah, or they strongly agree and say, yeah, I would get the heck out of here. 8% somewhat disagree. Well, I don't know if I really, I kind of disagree with that, right? 11% say, I don't know. 13% say, yeah, I think I would. 11% of Jews in July now say, I absolutely would. I would leave if I could. And 2% also say, I don't know. 11% were more neutral, like, I don't know. But 2% said they don't know. So a lot of Jews would flee Israel. I mean, what's the point of this country? The whole idea was this is going to be the safe place for Jews in the world, that this is going to be the safest place where Jews can go, a home for Jews. And yet you've got almost half the Jews saying, I don't think I really want to be here. I don't think this is the safest place for me. So, this is not, this is kind of a failed project in trying to get Jews over there and to take it over. I think that there would have been a lot more success had the Zionist project stuck to the original. It's hard to say the original, but in the early days of the debate of Zionism, there was a healthy, robust debate amongst Jews around the world, amongst European and American Jews, that they wanted the radical Jews, the radical Zionists who wanted to go to Israel and take the land and get rid of the Arabs and really just reclaim that whole homeland. They thought they were too radical. They didn't want to see that. They wanted instead a form of Zionism where Jews would go back to the homeland and live amongst the Arabs and share the land, but just have this push to go back, not create a Jewish homeland run by Jews and exclusively by Jews. That's not, a lot of the early Zionists were not interested in that. In fact, they were vocal against that. They thought that was a wrong, terrible idea, that it would lead to disaster. And it has led to disaster. And there are many other Zionists who now say, there is, for those that think Zionism is wrong, there is actually a form of Zionism that is not wrong, in my opinion. And that would be the form of, you just believe in Jews returning to the homeland. You don't have there's nothing else around that. And they're going to take over and they're going to ethnically cleanse the Arabs out. And it's only for Jews and it's going to be called Israel. And it's got, none of that stuff. It's just believing that Jews came from the Holy Land and Jews should start going back and like homesteading. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Plenty of people, that's what people come to America to do. It's the same sort of idea. It would be an immigration project without the desire of taking over. I don't think there's, if you become a majority eventually, then democracy will do its thing, but it wouldn't be a forced thing. And I think that's perfectly fine. but it's evolved into this, this other thing. And this is what many of the early Zionists, including Albert Einstein, warned against and said, if you go down this path, you're going to create a dangerous, terrible world if we end up letting these real radical, terroristic elements of the Zionist movement take over. And they did. It's just like the Azov battalion and the Nazi mentality inside of Ukraine. Rather than having more of a normal viewpoint that would be acceptable to everybody, instead, Ukraine allowed the radical nationalist Banderites to gain power and take firm. And now they're, by the way, fully in charge of Ukraine. So now you got a bunch of Jews living in Israel, the homeland of the Jews, the place where they're supposed to feel safe, and they don't feel safe and they want to leave. So interestingly, it looks like those at the Republican National Convention are more committed to Israel than even nearly half of the Israeli population. All right, guys, let me tell you about Field of Greens. You guys know I love Field of Greens. This is a wonderful product that is going to keep you healthy, and you're going to see it in your actual, the health. You're going to notice it at the doctor's office. In fact, each fruit and vegetable was selected by doctors to support vital functions like heart, liver, kidneys, and metabolism. And Field of Greens offers a better health promise. At your next checkup, your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back. So all you got to do is order Field of Greens. It's just a scoop of this superfood that goes into your ice water or your iced tea. I like the lemon lime flavor in my iced water. Shake it up or mix it up. It doesn't get clumpy. It's not thick and gloopy. It's just like a tea. Or a lemonade. Lemonade might be actually the better way to describe it, the lemon lime flavor. And it's really delicious. And it really does give me a boost of energy. And I really do feel much healthier drinking my Field of Greens the days that I drink it, which I try to do every day. Get 15% off your first order. Use promo code Kim, and you're going to get that 15% off. Plus, you're going to get free shipping. So no reason not to try it. No reason to be healthier. No reason to, once you drink this every day, you're going to stop even craving junk food because your body's getting the nutrients it needs. So it stops going after the carbs and the junk food. Get that 15% off. Visit fieldofgreens.com. Use the promo code Kim. Get 15% off and free shipping off your first order. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson show. That's right, this is just a clip. If you want the full show, you can go to KimIversonShow.com and you can watch Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for about 1 hour. It's totally free. Check it out, KimIversonShow.com. Thanks for watching.